Hello people, it's me, TFR Wilderness, and it's the 30th of September, last day of the month, and end of month bot haul time. Yep, I've got a bit of a haul here to show you, and what I will say is that after the last couple of haul videos I've done, you notice I've been putting in these extra items, you know, like DVDs and stuff that I've picked up, you know, non-Transformer related things I've collected. I've decided to continue doing that for the time being, because I've picked up a couple of sort of extra curricular collectibles, so to speak, this month. Because I went to the Coventry Comic Con a couple of days ago, and bought a couple of bits, and so that you'll be seeing that at the back end of this haul. But for now, I've got 14 items to show you plus the extras. So let's get along with things, shall we? Okay, right. So September. What happened in September? Okay. Did my usual thing, bought stuff at the end of the month, and I actually had something hanging over from last month, which came in, but more on that in a little bit. First of all, on the Friday the 6th, it was Spartown Comics time. I went to see my friend Richard up at Spartown Comics, and got Transformers, Bold New Era number 11. Again, this story it's not doing a great deal. I mean, yeah, there is stuff happening, but it's nowhere near as, engrossing as, More Than Meets the Eye or Lost Light or, the old Robots in Disguise comic. It's still taking its time to get going. This is the penultimate issue of this initial 12-issue run, where it was running fortnightly, and after issue 12 it's going to move on to a monthly comic. But yeah, the story continues. There's investigations going on, the Decepticons and the Rise and Megatron and the Autobots such as they are, and then you got Windblade and Chromia. I think she got involved in a big explosion, but she actually comes back later on, so I thought she was dead, but she's not. But anyway, so yeah, I got that. That was the first thing that I got on the 6th, and while I was there, I also got the second issue. This is the first of the extra items of Death's Head. Yeah, it's all right. I mean, obviously I bought it on the strength of that first cover that they did for issue 1, because I saw it in a shop window of a comic shop up at Bury, and it reminded me so much. The look of him in that shot, that image reminded me of G1 Death's Head from the Marvel G1 comics. So that's what got me. That's what hooked me into this. I haven't read anything of Death's Head since he departed from the Marvel G1 comics back in the sort of the late 80s. So it was good to catch up on him. I know he's done a lot of stuff since in the Marvel universe, but this is the latest iteration, and it's nice to see him doing something again. Well, this is Death's Head V, or number 5. This is like the fifth upgrade, so to speak, of Death's Head. But there's actually two of them. There's the older Death's Head and this newer Death's Head sort of come across each other, and it turns out they were, well, there's some, I don't know, I can't really describe it, but there's some sort of Marvel, sort of minor Marvel sort of youth superheroes involved, and it's interesting. The stories are rolling along, and I'm quite enjoying it. So I got issue 2 of that. And that was what I got when I went to see Richard at Spartown Comics on the 6th, on the Friday. So, moving forward, now, on Wednesday the 11th was when the next items arrived. And, an item from that was left over from last month. I bought this the back end of last month, and it arrived on the 11th of this month. And it is Robots in Disguise Megabolt Megatron. Now, I wanted to pick this guy up at TF Nation, and apparently Toy Fu had one of these on their stall on this Saturday morning, but I didn't know about it. This is one of the things I was looking for at TF Nation. but they sold it. And when I went back to the store, when I found out about it, I think it was it on the Sunday afternoon, I went over to their store and found out they'd sold it. But I ended up buying the other Beast Machines Megatron thing, the one that turns into the dragon, the little deluxe scale dragon that then turns into the scowl, the cowling where he wears the control harness, that one. But I wanted this one. Now this toy is quite interesting because it was originally developed for the Beast Machines line, and it turns into that flying head that Megatron turns into, that giant flying head. It turns into that. Now they were developing this toy for the Beast Machines line, but I don't know what the reason was, because that toy got cancelled. I don't know whether it's because it was a bit too late to come out for that toy line. But anyway, that original toy got cancelled. But what they did was they redesigned it. They added these spider legs and turned it into like a walking sort of spider head, kind of like on John Carpenter's The Thing, the original 1982 version. There's that bit where they chop that guy's head off, it rolls across the floor, and then it springs legs and wanders off like a spider. It's kind of like that. But yeah, so I decided to get this. They were fortunate. Well, back end of last month, I looked on eBay, and there was some guy in America who was selling a loose one. And I did that thing whereby I think the auction ended at something like 2:00 in the morning, and I stayed up to snipe it, and I got it for a reasonable price. Now the seller was also doing that GPS, that global shipping program thing, so I was a bit worried it was going to get customs hit, but it didn't. So I was lucky there, because I got it for such a cheap price that it came in under the duty payment, and it arrived on the 11th. And he's a nice little robot, decent figure. His hips were a bit loose, so I got some of that floor polish stuff, and managed to tighten his hips up a little bit. And he has like a gimmick where you can fire the missile. The missile's missing, of course, but yeah. So I wanted to get this because this is a kind of a representation of Megatron's flying head mode from Beast Machines, even though it carried over and got released as part of the Robots in Disguise or the Car Robots line. So finally got it. He's a decent little bot. He's got a good amount of articulation. It's a Megatron. So yeah, so I got him. So he was the first bot that arrived, even though he was something I bought the month before, and he arrived on the 6th. And then on the same day, I got the final part of Orphea. Yeah, I got Generation Select's Lancer, Autobot Lancer. So yeah, I've decided I was going to go for Orphea because I wanted a fembot, and I didn't want to go Megatronia or Victorion. So I had some of the bits for it already, so I decided to get the rest of the bits. I mean, yeah, I've got all the repaints of this mould. So yeah, I went on eBay, bought this off some seller in Taiwan or wherever it was, Singapore, and it arrived on the 11th. I think it arrived pretty quick, because I can remember I bought it this month, and it arrived on the 11th, so it arrived pretty quick. Anyway, so there it is, and now that I've got it, I think it's time to put Orphea together, shall we? I haven't actually put the whole thing together yet, so this is the first time that I've done it. But you have to sort of scrunch this thing up in a weird way. So if you just give me a moment. Yeah, sorry about that. A little bit of a faffing around trying to get this thing converted into leg mode. So there we go. Let me put this on. Come on. There we go. There we go. We've got Orphea in combine mode. Yeah, it's not the greatest thing. I don't particularly like the way you scrunch these gals up to become the legs. You know, you have to sort of fold them up double, and then you're supposed to put the leftover, you know, hand pieces in as heel spurs. These feet things are pretty loose, so I'd have to do something with that. The hip joints aren't great on this. I mean, will it stand up? Yeah, it will stand up just about. So yeah, so I got the final part of Orphea. So yeah, I completed this thing. Was it really worth it? Probably not. But I have a Fembot combiner now, and I have, like, you know, God knows how many repaints of this mould, and I've got the Siege Chromia as well, which is kind of like a retool of this. So I've got all the different versions. I'm sure there's going to be other ones that are going to come out later on, because, you know, it's like Seeker mould. It's like, yeah, let's just do another repaint of that. No one will notice. But yeah, I've got it. It's okay, I suppose, but it's a thing. So I completed that this month. Got the final part for that. And that arrived on the 11th along with Megabolt Megatron. So, what do we do now? Answer. Right, okay, now the next couple of days later, Friday the 13th, and yeah, back to Spartown Comics. And I got Ghostbusters, Transformers Ghostbusters number 4, Ghosts of Cybertron number 4. Again, this Ghostbusters crossover comic isn't quite living up to my expectations. It's okay, I suppose, but I expected more. You know, I expected the Ghostbusters to go out doing some normal ghostbusting stuff, and like Ectotron come with them, and all the, you know, hijinks and stuff that would ensue with that happening. But no, it's all about, you know, the Transformer side of it rather than the Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters are just bit players in this, which is a bit annoying, really. I wish they'd have done a bit more with it, and there's only one more issue left, which I will probably be getting next week. So yeah, so I got the part 4 of that, and that arrived on the 13th. Right, next, NEC Toy Fair. So yes, it was NEC Toy Fair number 3 on the 15th. So I got my my little sticker for being a. Let's get on there, for being an early bird person, for getting in early, and yeah, so I went there. Now, while I was there, I met up with my friend Richard and was walking round, and I noticed that Smizno Dave and Emily was wandering round as well, so I had a quick word with him, and so I saw them early on, and they carried on walking round. And there was, you know, Transformer stuff there this time. I had my usual £100, but I did a full lap of the hall, and I hadn't really seen anything, you know, I wanted to buy for myself. And then Space Bridge wasn't there this time, which is a little disappointing. The Geekology stall was there, and he had a bunch of third-party stuff on there, and most notably a load of the TFC combiners, like he had the which one was it? The aerial bots, and he had the what was the other ones? Oh yeah, the Ares, the Predaking one. He had those and a few other bits. So he had a decent, you know, a load of stuff on his store, but nothing that I particularly wanted myself. And then I saw something. Now, I've already got one of these, right? So I bought a second one. DX9 K1 or Kaleidoscope number 1 Freeman. And if you don't believe me, here's my one. So I've now got 2 of these. Yeah, so now I bought this because I know a man who's after one of these, Mr. James Lai of Maxie Love Toys. When I went down to see him a couple of months ago, I took my one down with me for him to see, and I also, while I was down there, I bought the Lego one. I bought the Lego one and built it, It's obviously, you know, if you don't know, it's Bastion from Overwatch, and yeah, so I got the Lego one when I was down at James's place. Yeah, and after he'd seen mine, he wanted to get one of his own, but unfortunately, this thing it's gone up in price in recent times because, you know, they only made like one batch of these. I think they weren't allowed to make any more because, you know, this is an unofficial, representation of, Bastion from Overwatch, and Blizzard, you know, didn't like that they made it. So that I think they told them, right, you know, you've made so many and you can't make any more. And people of Overwatch fans have cottoned on that this thing exists, and they've been snapping them up. And of course, it when this came out, it was about 80-90 quid, and then it wasn't selling. It was shelf warm, and it went down to about 60-65 quid. And then all of a sudden, people realised what it was and what it represented, and they started snapping them up. And it's been getting rare and hard to find, and prices have been shooting up over £100. So James wanted one, and I saw this guy had one on his stall for 80 quid, and I thought, yeah, I'll buy that. So I contacted James and says, yeah, you still after that, Freeman, because I've just got one for you. And yeah, so he's paid me for it. So now this officially belongs to him now. So he's paid me via PayPal and paid me back. So yeah, it's here, James. It's waiting for you. We just got to figure out some way of getting it to him without having to pay out for, you know, shipping fees. So we're sort of scratching our head and said, so, you know, am I going to have to go down to his place again, or does he come up to see me, or how's this going to work? I don't know. But anyway, I got that for James. So I bought that for somebody else. I didn't buy that for myself, but I'm showing it here just to prove that, you know, I got it, and I've currently got two of these things. Anyway, so what did I buy for myself? Well, like I said, I'd been around the hall, I'd looked, and didn't really see much worth buying. So then I went back to my old favourite guy on the left wall, and there's this guy halfway along, and he has a small selection of Transformers, but he usually has something of interest. Now I usually buy stuff from him, and I was looking on his stall, and he had some loose stuff in bags on the front, and then I saw this guy, PCC Icepick, with Chainclaw, the Minicon. Now, at TF Nation, Chris Sixshot and his boys, one of his boys had one of these, and he'd bought it, and he was messing around with it all weekend. And in the bar on Saturday night, or was it on the Sunday afternoon, on the table, he was just constantly messing around with this thing. And I had a quick go on it, and I thought, actually, this is pretty good. You know, I wouldn't mind one of these myself. And so yeah, I saw that this guy had one on his stall, so I bought it. These Power Core Combiner core bots are actually pretty good. They're not that bad in themselves. I mean, okay, yeah, they have all these bright blue combiner ports hanging off everywhere, and the combiner limbs are just exactly that. They're just limbs. They're just vehicles, which when you snap them on, they auto-morph into an arm or a leg, and that's how the combiner works. But they usually come with a Minicon, and you got like little Chainclaw, and he's pretty cool. And yeah, this guy's in pretty good nick. Apart from the head, I don't know what's wrong with the ball joint on the head. When you turn his head pops off, and the ball joint doesn't fit properly. But apart from that, he's in pretty good nick. So I got him, PCC Icepick. And from the same stall. Now, I got this. Dark of the Moon Wheeljack, or Q from the movie. Now, it was in a package. It wasn't mint in box. It had been opened and resealed. And it's got the Mechtech. It's Dark of the Moon figure. It's got the Mechtech. It's got all the accessories with it, and 28 quid I paid for this. Now, on getting it home and messing with it, it's not very good. And I mean, for instance, the legs are hollow, and you have this stupid flap that comes up. I mean, the foot like folds into there. You know, that's where the foot folds in, but it's. I don't know what it is about the design of this thing. It's just not very good. I mean, you've got the wing bits for the car on his shoulders. The arm moves like that, but they don't actually peg in. They just sort of fold across. and he's got, you know, excessive kibble hanging off, bits of car kibble hanging off here, there, and everywhere. And the design and engineering on this reminds me a lot of this thing, Revenge of the Fallen Jolt. Now this thing is horrendous. I don't know why I bought this. I got buyer's regret after I bought this. I mean, he's got all this. He's like a panel former. He's got all the glass, you know, because it's a Chevy Jolt or Volt or whatever it is, and you've got all the glass panels on the front of his legs. He's got like sides of the glass panels and the roof on his arms. A lot of transparent plastic on this guy. It's just not very good. The way the transformation works, and I think these two toys were designed by the same bloke, and the same engineering philosophy that was in this one has been transferred onto this one, and it looks kind of good in robot mode and car mode, but it's not that great to play with. It's not that great to transform, and I wouldn't say buyer's regret, but 28 quid though. It's a lot of money to pay for, you know, like a Dark of the Moon Deluxe, even if it does come in the original packaging with all the accessories. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed by that guy. And then the other thing that I got off this guy's stall. Now, just recently, I've got it in my head. You know Transformers Go from Japan? It was that CGI Transformers series that they did a couple of years ago, which was an exclusive Japanese show, but it had some original mould, but it had a lot of the Prime. It happened just after Prime. Transformers Prime Beast Hunters, and they took a lot of the Transformers Prime Beast Hunters mould and they repainted them and used them in the Transformers Go toy line. But they did do a bunch of designs of their own, and they had this. The Autobots had this triple decker combiner gimmick whereby you had these three bots with this unusual engineering on them, and what they could do is they could combine, you know, one as the head, one as the midriff, and one as the legs, and then they could swap. You know, you get three different versions of the combiner, just swapping these guys about. Now, to make that combiner gimmick work, yeah, there had to be some engineering compromises on the figures themselves. Now, I was thinking, I want to get at least one example of a figure from the Transformers Go line. And I was looking at the two that he had. He had two box ones. He had the purple shark one and the orange bird one. And I thought, you know what, I like the colour orange and the bird guy looks alright, so I got this guy. This is Transformers Go Hishoumaru. And yeah, he transforms into a blocky bird. So this is his robot mode. Now, you can see he's got excessive amounts of kibble on his legs. Now these foot things here are actually part of the combiner gimmick. They're actually nothing to do with the bird or the robot mode. Okay. Now the worst thing about these figures is the combiner gimmick, and it involves the legs and the hips. Now where do you think this guy's hips are? Do you think they're around here? Nope. They're up in his armpits. Look, there his hips up there, look, see? That is the thing about these. In order to make the combiner gimmick work, because you've got the combiner ports are here and here, and they basically, it's like a stack system. They sort of stack on top of one another. One becomes like the shoulders and the arms. The other becomes like the mid-wrist drift and the backpack. And then you have the one on the bottom that becomes the legs. And they can go in any which way, and they form a different gestalt every time they transform in a different combination. And that was the whole gimmick of the line. And in order to make the gimmick work, some compromises have to be made, and the legs just do not work right on this. I mean, you have got a bicep swivel there and a thigh swivel there, top and bottom. So you can, if you want to splay the legs out, you could do that, right? But they don't go backwards and forwards. Then they only go in one direction, and you can move them around to get it to pose, but you know, just moving it normally, it just doesn't work. And the engineering on this thing is awful. It really is bad. And the bird mode is just a flying brick. But yeah, I bought it because I wanted to get a Transformers Go figure. And maybe I should have gone for the purple shark, but I got the orange bird. So yeah, I bought him. He's really not very good. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, I mean, the whole idea is that these become arms, and you know, it's just. I mean, I'm sure the engineering for the combiner gimmick is great when you actually got all three of them and you combine them together. And I don't know whether I've got the best figure from the set, but yeah, it ain't great. So yeah, that was the last thing I got at the NEC Toy Fair, and I paid £45 for this guy. He did come in his box with all with the card and the instructions and everything and all the accessories to do the combining proper. Because when you combine them, you get like an extra breastplate and a head thing to stick on top. So yeah, so I bought him. Right, so that was the NEC Toy Fair on Sunday the 15th. So moving along. Right, next. Now. Right, don't need that anymore. Right, the next thing. Monday the 16th. Now this is one of the extra items that I bought. Now there is a little show on Netflix that I've been watching, and I'm really, really into it. It's a really cool show. It's called Dragon Pilot Hishoumaru Masotan. Now I suggest you go on Netflix and watch it. It's only 12 episodes. It's like a self-encapsulated series. It's an anime show, 12 episodes, and basically it follows a little girl called Hishoumaru, and she finishes school and she goes to work for the JSDF, the Japanese Self-Defense Force, with the Japanese Air Force at a local base. And when she gets there, she finds out that she's been selected to become the pilot of a dragon. Yeah, so there's this dragon which the Air Force are secretly, harbouring these dragons from the rest of the world. And it's their right to look after these things and maintain them and keep them out of prying eyes from the rest of the world. And she's been selected as a pilot. And how they fly these dragons is they get swallowed by them and they end up in the stomach, and then they pilot them from inside the stomach of the dragon. And the dragons have these armour sets that clip on, so they can actually transform into jet planes. And the main dragon from the series is called Masotan, and I noticed that the Good Smile Company, the people who do Nenderoids, was doing a detailed sort of like a Nenderoid figurine of Masotan. And when I saw it, I've got to get this thing. Now the prices of this thing, when I first went looking for it, it was pre-order prices, and there was speculative pre-order prices at best. And the prices varied wildly. I think the cheapest I saw it was about £94, and then they went up to like 110, 130, and there's even somebody who was asking like £300 for it. But anyway, it eventually came out a couple of weeks ago, and I bought one off an eBay seller. Unfortunately, they shipped it. I only paid about 50 odd quid for it, but then they shipped it as merchandise, and yeah, and it got a customs hit, so I ended up paying over £100 for it in the end. But anyway, here's the box, and there's Masotan with his F-15J armour on, or the what they called organic OTFs. That's it, organic transformed flyers. So he's an OTF. This is his OTF F-15J armour that he's wearing here. But if you look on the back, you can see you can arrange him with or without the armour, and he comes with a bunch of accessories. And and here he is. Now he has some joints. The wings are ball jointed. He's very delicate, especially when he's got the armour on, because some of the armour pieces are they're held on by magnets, and but he's amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, like these pieces, look, see, like they're just held on with magnets. He's a bit brittle. I mean, some of the smaller joints, when you try to move them, they pop off. But he's absolutely gorgeous and cute as a button. He isn't quite this cute in the show. Obviously, this is a Nenderoid. It's been made, sort of, super deformed and cutesy. But this is an amazing piece of kit. It's not very big. It's got a decent amount of weight to it. But, yeah, he's really, really cool. And, yeah, so I decided to pull the trigger on this guy. I mean, there's bits falling off. You got to be careful because, like I said, a lot of these armor pieces are held on by magnets. So, and there he is, Nenderoid Masotan. He's available now. If you go on eBay, you can pick him up for about 70, 80 quid with the postage. But again, be careful. Make sure the seller doesn't do it as merchandise because, you know, it got a customs hit and ended up paying over 100 quid for it. But I really wanted it because I like dragons. You know, I've got a thing for dragons. And Fiery Dragon. This guy has been on display in my room ever since I got him. But he's come out now. And Masotan's taken his place as my Dragon Guardian in my room. So, yeah, I got hold of him. Here's something cool that arrived this month. A little extra item, something else that I bought. Little collectible figurine. Right, so that arrived on the 16th. Then it was KTRTs. My KTRTs arrived. First on the 18th, Robot Trains Maxie, Season 2 Maxie arrived. I decided this month I was going to go for, you know, KTRT's themed to the colour pink. I've been meaning to get a figure from Robot Trains Season 2 because I've got, you know, quite a few of the figures from Season 1. And I decided I wanted to get Maxie. She's a bit simplistic compared to the others. She hasn't got any working knees. Transformation's very, very simple. And as because she's in these light colours, the whites are just washing her out. She does have a mouth. She's all right. She's okay. So I did a review on her. She's all right. And then the next day, my other bot arrived. Got hold of this gal, Miniforce Penta X Lucybot. She's really good actually. These Penta X figures much better than the Miniforce X figures that I got last year. She's nice and heavy, decent build quality, reasonable amount of articulation, a few extra joints like like a waist joint, and she's got wrist swivels. The legs are a little bit restricted, but great alt mode. She turns into a cement truck, hot pink cement truck, which I think is a little unusual. But hey, it's a Transformer. It can turn into whatever it wants. So they chose to do that. And she does have the mixer drum, which you can use as a weapon. Now in the review, I tried to show it as a weapon, but it didn't quite work. I'm going to see if I can do it again and make it work this time. Now the thing is, you have to lock, kind of bring the arms in and lock them into, well, not exactly lock them into place, but squeeze them in and hold the thing into place. It ain't easy. There we go. I've done it. Oh. But it's so... Hang on. Just doesn't work because there's no tension on the joints. But anyway, it doesn't lock into place, and it's difficult to get her to hold it, but she can hold it at a push. I mean, I did for the thumbnail on the video, so I proved that she can do it. So yeah, I got her. She's all right. She's okay. Did a review on her. She's pretty cool. And that was my Korean bots for the month. So now, moving along, it's comic time again. Next couple of Fridays, went to... so it was the 20th, Friday the 20th. I got this. I got Transformers number 12, or should I say, Spotlight Nautica. Yeah, this to say this is connected to the ongoing story is a bit of a stretch. It's kind of set before Nautica and Sentinel Prime and the crew arrived back in Cybertron. You know, to these news of all these deaths and the chaos with the Insecticons and all that. But this is set before that, and this is basically Spotlight Nautica. This issue, and they should have called it Spotlight Nautica because it's mostly centered around Nautica, and she's also got Road Rage with her, who's kind of her bodyguard, like Chromia is the bodyguard for Windblade, and she's dealing with like a diplomatic incident on one of the planets that they're visiting, and there's these aliens are trying to assassinate one of the alien dignitaries, and she cottons onto it, and she finds this guy who's got this little crab drone thing that's full of explosives and is trying to carry out an atrocity, and they basically put a stop to it. But it's an okay issue, but it's you know, it's just a throwaway issue. There's not really much going on, and if you're engaged and engrossed in the ongoing story, it's like, you know, sometimes when you get a cartoon series and it's got like an ongoing plot, and then all of a sudden they'll throw in an episode that's just a standalone episode and doesn't mean anything to the ongoing plot. It's just a bunch of the characters doing something else. That's what this is. So I'm just calling it Spotlight Nautica because it's basically all it is a spotlight on Nautica doing something. So it's a good comic, but in the ongoing story arc for this new Transformers, it's nothing really. It's a nothingness. So it's okay as it stands, but not in the grand scheme of things. And while I was there, I got Death's Head number 3. Like that cover of V and Death's Head slugging it out in a boxing ring. That's pretty cool. Again, this story's getting interesting now. We need to find out exactly what the deal is between two Death's Head in one continuity. That's quite interesting. So yeah, interesting to see how this continues. I think this is a 5-issue mini comic, so there's 2 more issues to go on this, I think. And so yeah, more on that next month. And then now, the following week, Friday the 27th, more comics again. Went to see Richard and got the first issue of Transformers Galaxies. Now, the way I understand this from Richard, what they're doing is now that the main comic has run out to 12 issues fortnightly, this is now going to a 1-monthly comic, and then in between weeks they're going to be running this. So these are going to be running at fortnightly intervals. So 1 week it's going to be this, and then 2 weeks later it's going to be this. Now, the way I understand this from what Richard was telling me, basically this is a parallel storyline which is going to cover a bunch of the other characters that aren't running in the main story, and they're concentrating at the moment on the Constructicons, because they're basically showing what the Constructicons did, before the war. They were created to build up, rebuild Cybertron after the war. They stumble across the enigma of combination, and then they transform into Devastator, and they're a bit of fumbling around, and they eventually start, doing amazing things and doing great construction work on Cybertron. But I think they're going to get shit on in the next issue, and then they're going to get the ump, and I think that's what this story centres around. But so far, not bad. It's got that weird art, that randomly art style in it, this one, and I'm not a huge fan of that dark, brooding, gothic sort of art style that he uses. I'm not really a fan of that. I like, what's his name? Well, I like my art to have a bit of funk to it, But yeah, got that. And that was the last comic I got this month. And then we're just rolling down to the last couple of days, and well, actually, it was the following day. It's Coventry Comic Con. Now, Coventry Comic Con is a comic convention that's been running for 3 years now. This is the third running of Coventry Comic Con. It's just up the road at the Sports Connection at Brighton. And I've been to the previous 2 Comic Cons with my friend Richard. And I haven't actually bought anything at the previous Comic Cons, even though I do my usual thing of taking £100 to these Comic Cons. The previous 2 Comic Cons, there was hardly any Transformer stuff there. And I wasn't really buying any stuff for other franchises either. I was just concentrating on Transformers stuff. And so the last 2 years I've been to this convention, I've not bought a single thing. But this year, I got lucky, so to speak. I did actually buy some stuff. While I was there, obviously there was a couple of cosplayers going around. And I took a few video clips. And there was one cosplayer who went there who was absolutely amazing. It was a guy cosplaying as Davros from Doctor Who, and he had the little electric chair, and he had the mask and the voice synthesizer and everything. And I'm just going to throw in a little clip of him, like in the car park while I was waiting in the queue. He sort of came down and sort of did a pirouette in front of me and went off and stood in the queue. Well, and rolled off and stood in the queue. So I'm just going to throw a little clip of that in here. Yeah, so as you can see, that Davros was absolutely amazing. In fact, later on in the convention, the actual guy who played Davros in one of the previous versions of Davros in the Doctor Who show, he was there as one of the guests, signing autographs. And there was a moment where this guy who was cosplaying as Davros came over and they had a moment together, where basically this guy was meeting himself as the character he used to play, and it was really cool to watch because I was like a bystander watching it. And there was a couple of other good cosplayers there. There was a guy playing Sloth from the Goonies. He was really good. I've got a little video clip of him as well, which I'm going to put in here.
It must be a commercial costume.
Yeah. Oh, I got a Hellboy or Hellgal.
Yeah, he was wandering around going, "Hey, you guys," It was really good, but he was really good as well. So there was a couple of really good cosplayers there. But me and Richard went into the main hall. And we wandered around and was looking at the stalls, and so yeah, I bought 4 items at the Coventry Comic Con, 3 of which are from things other than Transformers. And the first thing I found, Tripod's DVD box set. Now, this was a science fiction show that was done in the 1980s, about 1984, 1985. It ran for 2 seasons. And it was kind of like War of the Worlds, but a different take on it, about these aliens that come to Earth with these tripods, and they basically they were ruling over the Earth, turned the Earth back to like the Middle Ages, and it was really good. I can remember watching it back in the day, and it was a really cool show. Found this guy had the DVD box set of both seasons 1 and 2, so it's all in here. It's got the book. Discs are in perfect condition, and £10. Couldn't argue at that. I mean, hell yes, we'll have some of that. So I bought that, and then I went up the row to the next store, and this guy had a bunch of stuff on his stall, loads of little bits and pieces, and then I noticed something on the front. Transformers, Robots in Disguise, Legion Class Ratchet. It's basically a repaint of the Legion Strong Arm mould. But, I thought, I need to buy some plastic at this event, and this is it. So, this is my one and only, Transformer toy that I have bought at the Coventry Comic Con. And there was a few other people selling stuff, but again, there was, I think the same stall this guy had. He had a couple of Beast Wars figures. He had Beast Wars Transmetal Cheetor, but he was asking 25 quid for it, and it was loose. And he had a Beast Wars Dinobot complete, but he was asking 45 quid for it. I thought, you what? 45 quid? This was £6.99, but when I paid for it, the guy didn't have enough change, so he gave me 5 pence back. He didn't have any penny changes, so I only paid £6.95 for it. So, but at least I got some plastic at the Coventry Comic Con. So yeah, broken me duck on the Coventry Comic Con by getting these 2 bits. So I was happy about that. And then we carried on round, and then came to another stall that had a load of Japanese stuff. He had a lot of Super Sentai, sort of figures, Power Rangers stuff and Kamen Rider and all that stuff. And on the back he had some Godzilla figures, and I'm a bit of a Godzilla fan on the quiet. So yeah, I was looking at the figures he had, and I decided I need me a Millennium Godzilla. So this is a Bandai sort of vinyl figure. They're richly detailed. They got limited articulation. I mean, jazz hands. So this is the Millennium Godzilla from the Millennium series, which was the series they ran from I think 1999 up to the end. And you can tell it's Millennium 1 because he's got these like purple crystalline sort of dorsal spikes on the back, which signified the Millennium version of the suit. Really cool. I've got another one of these, because this is one of the Bandai vinyl figures. I've got another earlier version of the original 1954 Godzilla that stands on my windowsill. So he had a Mecha Godzilla, and he had another version of the 1954, but I decided to go for the Millennium Godzilla, and so yeah, got him. So he was 18 quid. He's pretty cool. And then one other thing that I bought while I was walking around. I got me a Plushie Lucario. I love Lucario. He's one of my favourite Pokemon. I mean, who doesn't love the angry blue fox? I mean, he's an amazing character in the movies and the episodes. Brilliant. I love Lucario, and I wanted a Lucario of my own. Of course, when I've played Pokemon like Sun and Moon, I had a Lucario on my team, so I had one, and so yeah, got him. It's quite big actually. Unfortunately, he won't stand up because he's a plush, and his head's been sewed on at a funny angle, and one of his legs is a bit crooked. But still, really love this guy. So I got him. He was about 20 quid, I think. And that was it for the Coventry Comic Con. I went round, saw a few other bits and pieces, but yeah, I did quite well at the Coventry Comic Con this time round. I got some decent bits. 4 different items from 4 separate franchises. I can't complain at that. But I wasn't done buying stuff. No. When I came out I was in there for just over an hour, and my friend Richard, wanted to catch up with one of his friends, so he wandered off, and came out, jumped in my car, drove like 3 miles up the road, went to Smith's. Yes, because there's a Smith's in the vicinity of the Coventry Comic Con at Brighton. And I bought me. I noticed. Well, actually, I was up at Bury last week, and I did my usual thing, going around the shops at Bury. I wasn't buying anything, but I noticed in Bury that they were finally getting stocked with some of the new wave of Transformers toys. They'd got the Wave 2 Spark Armor figures. They'd also got like the wave. They'd got in some of the Wave 3 Siege figures. They had Siege Springer. They had, what else did they have? They had Red Alert, they had Brunt, they had Jetfire, they had Siege Jetfire there for £78.99. So if you're a mug like me who paid 95 quid for it at TF Nation, yeah, that really hurts seeing that on the shelf at that price, at sub 80 quid. But there you go. We get what we pays for at the end of the day. But yeah, so I'd seen some bits on the shelf, and I thought, I wonder if they'll be on the shelf at the Coventry Smiths next week. So roll forward a week, and I go up to Smiths, and yeah, they had Spark Armor Ratchet and Spark Armor Shockwave. So yeah, I've got yet another Cyberverse Shockwave. So I've got 3 now. But yeah, and the funny thing is, this guy, the Ratchet. I mean, let's take this off. Come on, they do peg in rather well. Take this crap off. I mean, it was literally like less than 2 months ago that this guy first appeared in the Argos catalogue, and it was the first time the evidence of it had appeared anywhere. And somebody took a picture of it and sent it to Slag Podcasts in America, in Canada, and he did a podcast on it. And and a couple of weeks later, and they're out in the UK, and he thought, this is amazing. I've noticed that they're lately with some of the official stuff, they've been really quick. Well, when they do the official announcements or reveals of the figures, they do like the pictures, they release them online. They're literally in the shops like within 2-3 weeks. They're very quick at getting the stuff in the shops. I don't know whether this is just for certain lines, but they seem to be turning these around really fast. I mean, for instance, Lancer, Generation Selects Lancer, when that was revealed, when that got released, I mean, that was pretty quick as well. So yeah, we've got Ratchet. He's pretty cool. I like his alt mode because it kind of looks like a VW bus. Legs are a bit long, but he's all right. He's pretty good. He's got double jointed elbows. The only thing is they don't have head rotations, and like my Skybite, my Spark Armor Skybite, the face isn't painted, and it's been really sort of crudely moulded. It just there's no definition on it. It just looks like a really bland sort of faceplate, very blobby. So, but he's all right. He's okay, and he comes with the skidoo bits, and then there's Shockwave. Wow, this thing's awesome. But then again, all the Shockwave toys have been really good. I think I'm even tempted to get the one-step changer that turns into the... I'm even tempted to get that. But yeah, I got him. And I love the vehicle that comes with him. It's a satellite called, was it Solar Shot? The satellite's amazing with these solar wings. It's got a lot of rubber parts on it. I mean, all the pink bits are rubber. But, because he transforms into the crab tank thing again, he's got bicep swivels, he's got thigh swivels, he's got virtually all the articulation you could ever want. And his crab tank doesn't look too bad, actually. He looks, probably as good as the warrior class one. Not quite, no. The ultra class one isn't very good, but the warrior class one's decent. And this one's pretty cool as well. So yeah, I'm really liking this guy, and I love the fact that he comes with this satellite thing. I love the satellite. So yeah, I'm really, really liking Spark Armor Shockwave. And that's it. That's my haul for this month. As you can see, I've got some interesting bits. I mean, the Comic Con, I got a Godzilla and a Plushie Lucario and an awesome Tripods DVD box set. NEC Toy Fair, I bought one of these for my mate James. Bought a load of comics, some more KTRTs and all that stuff. So it's not been a stellar month because I haven't... Now we're getting to that bit which I do at the end of every month, every bot haul, where I do my first and worst. And it's been a real struggle this month to pick out something that's the best thing that I got and something that's the worst thing that I got. Especially with the first item, the best item. Nothing's really been outstandingly amazing. There's been stuff that's been sort of better than average, but not stand out amazing. But I think I've figured out what I'm going to do for my first and worst. Right? You ready? First and worst. Yeah, I really like Spark Armor Shockwave. I think it's the satellite that does it for me. The satellite is like brilliant. I love the satellite. The fact that he's got this satellite that just turns into, and there's so many different places you can put the pieces on. I mean, his arm cannon is you can disconnect his arm cannon. The purple hose, you can plug it in any which places you want. So much playability on this guy is amazing, and he's got all the articulation because he turns into the crab tank. So he is amazing. He's brilliant. And if you're going to get one of these, get this guy. And he's in the shops right now. And yeah, this thing, I mean, let's face it, I mean, come on. Having your hips up in your armpits, that's not a good look. I know it's the engineering for the combiner, and you can't really knock it for that, but yeah, I just have serious buyer's regrets on buying this thing because of that. And I kind of knew what I was getting in for because I've seen sort of like, you know, some videos and pictures of how this combiner gimmick works, and I was a bit dubious about it before I bought into the line, but you know, he was there. I hadn't bought anything up to that point. I had, you know, money burning a hole in my pocket, and so I bought it. And yeah, maybe I should have got the purple shark guy, but yeah, I bought it. It's mine. I've got a figure from the Transformers Go line for all my sins, you know, and yeah, so yeah. So that is, again, first and worst. So that's it. That's my haul for this month. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Moving on to tomorrow. Now, I was going to say that I'm going to I was thinking about slowing down on buying Korean bots. There's a number of reasons for this. One, there's not many things out there at the moment that I want to buy. Two, because of this impending Brexit situation that we've got at the end of next month, we might get a no-deal Brexit, we might get an extension, whatever's going to happen. This Brexit uncertainty is causing problems for me buying bots from Korea. I mean, the prices of the Korean toys are creeping up. One of the reasons is there's a lot of new stuff coming out. When the new stuff comes out, the eBay sellers slap a premium price on it because it's a brand new item. You know, they sell them at a higher price. They do come down later on, but you know, you have to wait a couple of months before they come down to a manageable price. I mean, they come in at like 65 quid, and they come down to like round about sort of like 55. But then we've got the you know, because of all the Brexit uncertainty, you've got the value of the pound has been slowly dropping against other world currencies, and that's been forcing the price of you know, buying abroad, you know, buying stuff from abroad has been, you know, creeping. The price has been creeping up constantly because of that. And also, I've noticed there's been delays in the shipping of my items from Korea. The last couple of months, I've had my shipping time has been, you know, significantly increased. Usually I would get a like 10 to 12 days shipping time from buying them on the 1st of the month, so they usually arrive on the 10th or the 12th. But now I'm getting like the 18th and 20th. That's why my reviews are towards the end of the month rather than in the middle of the month. And that's the reason why. So yeah, it's getting difficult to justify spending the money and, you know, buying stuff in. And the other thing is, because of this question over the customs union, if you know, no deal Brexit happens, or we get a crap deal out of Europe, the customs union's going to go to Ratchet. And then I think you'll find when stuff comes into the country, the UK customs are going to be stopping everything and slapping custom charges on everything to claw some money back. So I reckon you'll find that the prices of stuff you're shipping in is going to go up because of that anyway. So yeah, I'm worried about that, and I'm thinking I might give the old KTRT buying a rest. But I'm still going to be buying some tomorrow. There is a figure that I've been looking at buying from my mate Mr. Soon. It's from the Dino Core Evolution Season 2 line. Looking at buying that, and that was it. That was the only figure I was looking at getting. I mean, yeah, there's new figures come out for the Hello Carbot Season 7. There's the new movie toys that have come out for the Hello Carbots. You know, Save the Moon. They look kind of interesting, but they're a bit pricey at the moment, and I can't justify spending that money. But then this morning, I watched a video from Mr. KR Brickbat. Yeah, I like to think I can imitate his voice. So sorry if you're offended by that, but yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in there. But anyway, KR Brickbot, the guy in Korea, he does review of Korean toys, and he speaks English, speaks very good English. He does the reviews on the Korean toys, and he's very honest about, you know, reviewing the Korean toys. If they've got faults, he points them out. He does little skits. He's got like a little Lego mascot, you know, bot that he uses. Very good way he does things. I really like it, and I like watching his stuff. Anyway, he did a review on the Penta Storm reissue this morning, which is quite interesting. And at the end of it, he said, well, if you want to buy one of these, don't pay, the eBay scalper prices are like 350 odd quid. Go onto this site called 11 Street. And so I clicked on the link and went on there and looked at the price of things. I thought, oh, blimey. Reminded me a lot of G-Market Korea. But there's a particular figure that I'm looking to buy tomorrow. Hello Carbot Season 7 Prime Unity Mirene. If you don't know what that is, look it up. And there's nobody selling one at a reasonable... Well, there's hardly anybody selling it on eBay at the moment, but I went on this 11th Street, and there's a load of them on there, along with a load of other figures from Hello Carbot Season 7. And they're selling them at, at retail price, they sell for in Korea. I don't know what the shipping prices are like, but I've opened an account, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be making my first purchase from 11th Street. So, thank you, Mr. KR Brickbat. Much appreciated that you gave me that link. So, yeah, much appreciated you gave me that link. It was very helpful, and hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to get something out of it. But still, I am... Maybe next month I might put a stop on the Korean bots. I don't know. We'll have to see where Brexit's going. But with that said, that's the end of this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed this haul. I've been TFR Wilderness. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Ta-da.